Did you guys need a report to tell you that? Did you really need that? I mean, the only ones I think would need a report are the ones who are in denial. Yeah, those are about the only ones. But then they'll still make their rounds back to Blackville and claim that black males. No, white males. And it's always been white males. Throughout history, it's always been white males. Even after, a little bit after slavery, white males used to regularly harass and black women. I did videos talking about it. It was a video I did talking about the first black woman who was on LAPD, who was an LAPD officer. And one of the reasons why the women group at the times, the reason why they wanted her to be or to get on the department was to help black women, because they were regularly assaulted and awed by white men. I'll be back. Yeah, it's so crazy because, they didn't think people were going to find out. There are people who their job is to surf the internet to find out what's been new, what's added that's new, information to support whatever they're researching or, whatever they discuss. So you think people wasn't going to find out that you guys, DOJ, you published a report about who's the most violent, criminal-minded group in the nation. You thought that people were just going to be like, oh, well, it was there yesterday. No. Because the people who work diligently to expose the lies and reveal the truth, they noticed. And I say often, they always focus mainly on the Black American community because that is a part of keeping up their charade. Let's make them look worse so we can look better. And in the meantime, these people who are the worst continue to be the worst, and the more brutal, the more violent, because you're focusing over here. What happens in the Black American community comes from frustration. And no, I'm not trying to justify it at all. But I also and I'm going to keep reiterating, I did a video talking about what the problem is with Black Americans, and it's racist. It's racism. Nobody want to talk about that. Here's a report published in the 60s that stated that. And the report was done by a white panel. They went around the country and interviewed Black people and Hispanics in poor communities, and they found out that the problem was racism. So then you got Black people trying to fight for something in their community, good or bad. And then that's where the gang violence come in. That's where the drug dealing come in. But then you got to ask yourself, what are white men angry about? Every time I ask that question, I never get an answer. This country was literally carved out for you. What the hell are you angry about? We're fighting for the whatever. Okay, before we get into the content of this video, I want to put out a few clips or show you a few clips that emphasize or confirm things that I've said in multiple videos about statistics being manipulated. For those who don't know, who are sitting in the back row, I'm talking to you. Yes, Statistics can be manipulated to fit a narrative. And what you guys don't realize is that it might show that more black people are arrested, and that's because they're targeted. But it doesn't, you don't look further and read where there might be a high number of black people arrested in this country. There's a high number of black people being exonerated because they were falsely arrested and falsely charged. Okay, now check this out.
Believe the 13% of you seriously believe the 13% of the population and 50% of the crime? You need to get fact checked, and I'm about to do it to you. In 2016, white people committed 70% of the convicted crime, and black people only committed 27%. Then in 2017, white people committed 68% of the reported crime, and black people only committed 26% of it. And in 2024, white people committed 53% of the reported crime, while black people only committed 25%. So this narrative on 13% of the population, 50% of the crime is wrong. You know who actually commits 50% of the crime? White people. But guess what stat black people are 13% of the population and 50% in? Exonerations. You know, when they're wrongly convicted. All you're doing by spreading this fake fact is allowing more people to profile and be racist towards black people. You know what's the highest percentage of people who are victims of white people? Black people. And if you look at all the shootings, guess who are the shooters? White dudes. So let's all think long and hard on who actually commits 50% of the crime.
Now say he's lying. I dare you to say he's lying. That baby has no reason to come on this internet spouting lies. Somebody raised him right with a God honest conscience. See, that's what a true Christian would be. They will represent truth, and they will expose hypocrites and Pharisees regardless of color. If you call yourself a Christian and you're mainly dogging and demeaning one group, you are not a Christian. Okay, now listen to this.
Consistently to beg for reparations and beg for this when they are killing each other 90% of the time, which is the rate that black people kill each other, according to the FBI.
Oh, young Matt.
Yet white people are the aggressors.
I'm not sure where your education came from, but they lied to you.
Stats don't lie, though.
Statistics lie all the time. So let's start there, particularly when the statistics are coming from the sources that gain from the statistics being shown a different way. So if you're going to start your argument on stats don't lie, you've already lost the argument. They lie all the time.
I know some of you guys have an issue with SEALs, but you know, I've been talking about statistics being fabricated and manipulated to fit into someone's narrative so long. And when I heard her say that, I was like, wow. I actually watched the video. I didn't watch the entire video because it was too hard to watch. You had all these people who look like me, not from this country, just saying so many terrible things. And I'm sitting here like, well, good, let's talk about your country now. You know, I have an issue with people who come to this country talking about Native Black Americans, but they never talk about the scandals and the corruption and the violence in their country. Like if you come from Haiti, you come from Jamaica, you come from these impoverished, violent, hard countries, you should bring your ass over here and be quiet. Whenever someone talks about, hey, how about those niggers in the Black American community, you should just clear your throat and turn and walk away. That's what you should do. Now check out this clip.
Get your lights out, get your lights out, get your lights out, get your lights out. Go. Hit. Where the fuck's going? Over there. Go.
Snatched from their cells in maximum security prisons across America, some 40 members of the infamous Aryan Brotherhood gang are flown to fortress jails in Los Angeles. This is the biggest criminal case in US history, with more than 20 defendants facing the death penalty. The most feared and deadly white gang in the American prison system, it stands accused of hundreds of beatings and killings, of intimidation, racketeering, and drug dealing.
I remember I was stating what someone told me who worked in law enforcement or a correction officer in California, and they were telling me that, you know, they were confirming what was just said in that clip, that they are the most violent, most brutal group of people in the whole prison system. And then I was looking at a series on Hulu, I believe, and they were talking about how they brought down the Texas Aryan Nation, and they were the most violent group in the Texas prison system. And they were just talking about crimes they committed against one another, crimes they committed against women. And they were behind all that was depraved in that state. Prostitution, drugs, what you gun running, what you can, whatever you named. It was like, what weren't they? What weren't they involved in? That was the question. So, you know, as I'm looking at this series, and I'm thinking to myself, well, again, what do you guys say about the black community? So, like I said, if they are that way in prison, what do you think how were they on the streets? You think they just went to prison for a timeout? You don't think their violence and brutality, you know, they take it everywhere they go? It's time for this country to face the truth. And they removed that report for a reason. And it's like, I'm so tired of the hypocrisy. I'm so tired of the lies. I'm so tired of it. But you know, things come to an end, right? You know, the truth always comes out, right? And we're seeing the truth now. Did you check out what happened in Pennsylvania? A white guy shot 5 deputies and 3 died. And then when Kirk was gunned down, there were children that were gunned down the same day in another state. And then do you have those who have like the Citizens app and other apps that give you alerts when breaking news happen? How many stories or headlines have you seen where somebody opened up shooting in a bar, shot in a church, schools, college, nonstop the past, I say 3 or 4 months? That's all I've been seeing in the news. Somebody open up, gun violence happened in a bar, gun violence at a church. It was a Catholic church, and they're all orchestrated by white males. You see how they painted an elaborate picture to make it seem like black people are the most violent in this country. And you know what's so disgusting? You know how many people believed it? I guarantee you they're not believing it as much now as they were prior to this year when they started getting deported. And you don't even know what's happening with these people who are actually being deported. Are they really being taken back to their country, or are they being trafficked? Or are they being sacrificed? You don't even know what's going on. See, that's why you shouldn't sneak into people's country, because they have no accurate way of documenting you. But back on track. You guys are getting an up close 4K picture of what group is the most violent in this country. Okay. Now, the purpose of me doing this video is for me to share with you a little summary of the report that the DOJ quietly deleted. Right-wing extremism is the central driver of domestic terrorism in the United States. That was the DOJ's conclusion. So the Trump administration deleted the report. Yep. Why, Trump? Why did you delete it? If you're not racist, if you're not one of them people that lie and pretend like, you know, white Americans or white people all over the world are so superior, why did you delete the report? All political violence is a threat to democracy, as the Trump administration tries to use the shooting of Kirk as an excuse to violate the First Amendment rights of Americans and launch a war against anyone who disagrees with them. There is an inconvenient truth that goes against their narrative. Right-wing extremism is the central drive of domestic terrorism in the United States. When facts get in the way, Trump's DOJ tries to delete them, as you will see if you try to access the report on the DOJ's website. And they inserted a picture of what you will find when you go to the website to try to look at the report. The Department of Justice's own research proves what the Anti-Defamation League and other organizations have concluded for years. The far right is the primary driver of political violence. not just political violence. We've summarized the study that Trump and Bundy didn't want you to read. Right-wing extremism remains the most persistent and deadly form of domestic terrorism in the United States. Drawn from decades of federal research, the report maps out the scope of violent extremism and provides an evidence-based picture of which ideologies pose the greatest threat to public safety. And here's the thing. You can do your own research. You don't need to rely on DOJ. All you got to do is, there are historical documents available for you to research and read on your own that will prove who's the most violent group in this country. They always got an excuse or a reason for their violence. You know, I think a lot of these people who are in these groups, these far right wing groups who are, you know, supposedly standing on whatever principle they conceive, it's like, I think these people really are violent in their heart and they were just looking for an excuse to be violent. That's what I believe. NIJ research shows that domestic terrorism in the U.S. is not a new phenomenon, but right-wing extremism has consistently produced the most violence. Since the 1990s, plots and attacks motivated by white racists, anti-government ideology, and natives' beliefs have outpaced left-wing or religiously inspired domestic terrorism. The report highlights that right-wing extremists are responsible for more fatalities than any other ideological group, citing high-profile attacks such as the Oklahoma City bombing, the Charleston Church massacre, and the 2018 Pittsburgh synagogue shooting. These acts are not isolated and they fit into a broader pattern of violence directed at racial, ethnic, and religious minorities as well as government officials. What they should have done is gone all the way back to slavery. That's what they should have did and included. I guess they was like, damn, you know what? Just talking about the 90s was too hard. Let's go on. The research details common tactics employed by right-wing extremists, mass shootings targeting religious or minority communities, bombings and arsons directed at government buildings or community centers. Now, how many black men have been involved in these? Just few that I named. Mass shootings targeting schools, churches, white communities. How many? Oh, okay. Paramilitary organizing and armed standoffs with law enforcement, online radicalization through extremist forums and social media echo chambers. These strategies mirror the movement's dual goals, spreading terror within marginalized communities and undermining trust in democratic institutions. They don't, you know what they don't do? I'm going to tell you what they don't do. They don't spread the terror that they want to spread. Check out the places they go to. Case closed. Let's continue. Because tell you the truth, you know, black people got enough on their mind. You think they're actually sitting back thinking about these right-wing terrorists? No. A right-winger, I'm gonna give you a pointer. I suggest you leave black Americans alone. I really do. Hey, you take the warning or not. Let's go on. While the report acknowledges the extent of left-wing and issue-specific violence, such as environmental extremism, their lethality pales in comparison. Religious-inspired terrorism has seen spikes in the past, particularly post 9/11, but NIJ research concludes that the extreme right-wing violence is more durable and decentralized, making it harder to disrupt. Who is that guy that went in there and killed those black people in church? He's still alive. All right. At the heart of right-wing terrorism is a fusion of racist, xenophobic, and conspiratorial beliefs. The NIJ report emphasizes that these ideologies thrive in times of economic distress, demographic change, or political polarization. In particular, anti-immigrant rhetoric and replacement conspiracies have fueled violence in recent years, including the El Paso Walmart shooting in 2019. And here's the thing. Who the hell is trying... Who's trying to replace white people? Who? Where's the facts? Where are the facts? Have you thought that instead of there being a replacement going on, what you guys are actually witnessing are seeds that you planted? Because that's what happens to our community. Replaced. Pushed out. Open borders. Did the open borders hurt your suburban communities? Did they hurt poor white communities? Hell, the immigrants was probably too damn scared to go to white poor communities because they already know how y'all act. So they know they felt safer in poor black communities, because at the end of the day, I'm going to tell you straight up, even in poor black communities, we still mind our own business. We don't F with you if you don't F with us. That's real talk. Real talk. My auntie owned a market across the street from the Nickersons. This was in the 80s. You know they didn't F with us. They didn't come in there acting a fool. Well, her dude was the president of motorcycle gang. Her husband was the president of a motorcycle club, and he was right next door to the store. Yes, he was known. But here's the thing. They still came in there showing utmost respect. They never came in. We used to have fun working in that store. It would be me and my sister and a couple of our cousins. And we had fun working in that store. She would leave the store under our care, responsibility. Because that's how responsible we were and are. And we would be running the whole store by ourselves. Never feared. I never had fear. And this was in the 80s. Working in a poor black community. And some black people who live in poor black communities, I'm going to give you another heads up. All of them aren't poor. That's where they just choose to live. You actually have some rich people who live in the projects. Scratch your head if you want to. Let's go on. The findings carry urgent policy implications. Resource allocation, law enforcement, and counterterrorism efforts must prioritize right-wing extremism, not only foreign or religious threats. A lot of them don't prioritize it because a lot of these people in law enforcement are part of them. You need to weed them out and do an honest job out of it. You got see, you guys have built it up in your head that you should be afraid of black men, you police officers. No, you need to be concerned about the white man who look like you, who don't like you. Let's go on. Community protection, faith institutions, minority communities, and immigrant populations remain the most frequent targets and require enhanced security support. Prevention and intervention, addressing the online ecosystem that incubate radicalize is critical to reducing the recruitment base for violent groups. The conclusion, it was the report was about 13 pages, I believe. It's about 13 pages, and like I said, just go look it up. Go look it up, folks, because I'm not going to put the report in my on my description, because like I said, I do the work. I do the work. I do my own work. I do my own research, and I'm not going to make it easier for you, especially if you have a platform and you have 6-digit subscribers or 7-digit subscribers, and you think you're going to eat off me? Okay. The NIJ report leaves little doubt. Right-wing extremism is not just a fringe issue, but the leading domestic terror threat in the United States. With its long history, decentralized structure, and deadly track record, it represents a persistent challenge to both community safety and democratic stability. Addressing this threat requires confronting the ideology directly, investing in prevention strategies, and resisting the normalization of hate-driven violence in political discourse. What are they doing now? What are they doing now? But be the first one to come. There's division. The left is bringing division. No, you're bringing division too. Both of you parties. I don't trust neither party as far as I can throw an elephant. Facts. Donald Trump made it clear that he approves of political violence when he pardoned 600 convicted criminals on one day. These January 6ers were convicted of assault and weapons crimes and are now free. They list people and the crimes they were charged with. Daniel Rodriguez used a stun gun on Officer Michael, assault on law enforcement with a deadly weapon, conspiracy. He had 12-year sentence. Kenneth Bonowitz, Proud Boys member, carried an 8-inch knife, assaulted at least 6 officers. He had 5 years. Lenny Leroy Kaufman brought multiple firearms and 11 Molotov cocktails, large cache weapons near the Capitol. Damn, 46 men. So it's a list of like a few people that they name and what they were charged with. Rachel Powell carried an axe and wooden pole, helped lead breaches near the Peace Circle. She was given 57 months in prison. It was one woman. Is there another woman? Julian. No, I don't know if that was a man or a woman. But yeah. There's no such thing as the right kind of political violence. And even though Trump recently said that he doesn't really care about right-wing extremism, which is outrageous since less than 3 months ago, in June, Vance Luther Bolter, disguised as a police officer, shot and critically wounded State Senator John Hoffman and wife and killed former House Speaker Melissa Hortman, her husband, and their dog. Vance Luther is a registered Republican. Vance Luther attended Trump rallies. He was a Trump supporter and arguably a violent right-wing extremist. So here's the thing. That was the end of the summary that they published. Like I said, both parties are responsible for the issues in this country. Like 2 years ago, the Democrats were acting up. They were acting up because, they were in, I think, the Senate. Check it out. Has anybody noticed this besides me? It's like a seesaw. Like one election, you'll have one group that'll have the power. They would have the Senate and Congress, right? And then, the next 2 years, that party will lose something. And then the fighting would come, right? So that it's like a game, man. Like one party will have all the power to do what they want to do in the first 2 years, and then the second year the second 2 years they'll lose something, and then that's where the fighting would come. The left will hold up what the right want to do, or vice versa. It's like a game, and you guys are really sitting there being played. They don't care about you. Most of those politicians got in there for a career. That's about it. It's an easy ass job until you guys start calling and demanding that they do their job. That's the only time it gets hard, when you guys demand accountability. But you really don't. You really don't demand accountability, because if you did demand accountability, a lot of these politicians wouldn't have the positions that they have. Because if you guys collectively turned against these politicians who are not working for you, they wouldn't still be able to hold those positions. But all you do is just come online and complain. And then the ones who are really about that life, who really hold these people accountable, you make them work hard. Because they're not only representing themselves, they're representing the people that they care about, their communities, their families, their friends, their co-workers, while you sit back in the cut and get online and complain and write your little stupid ass comments. But no, damn well, those comments you say, you will not say it in anybody's face. I know that for a fact. You won't. You won't do it. keep trying to tell y'all, I don't talk this way online only. I don't. And I don't have to prove anything to you because I don't know you and you don't know me. So, there you go. But I can tell you this much. If we weren't on a team together, working for a common cause, for the betterment of all, I think you will be glad you're on my team. And I'm not bragging or boasting. I'm just telling you facts. Ask the people that, I'm not going to point out that. But they're still glad about it today. And what me and my sister fought for took place in 2018 and 2025, almost 26. They are still eating off of what we stood and fought for in 2018. And I have facts and, as you guys say, receipts to prove it. Okay, folks, that was all. I wasn't trying to make a long ass video about something that's obvious and that people know, but one to always blame the blacks. They just want to blame the blacks. You know what I was thinking about doing? Having a child. How many people can be on their platforms and not say anything about Native blacks for a whole week? Not say one thing, good or bad. How many people will beat that challenge? If you thought about participating in that challenge right now, you already lost because you're thinking about it now. You thinking about all the things I said and you pissed off and you like, but what about, you couldn't just not think about us 1 second. So sad. Okay, I'm looking at the spider web on my ceiling and I'm trying to figure out how the hell you get up there because I don't ever see a spider up there. Ugh. Hey folks, thank you. Those who listened to this entire video, thank you so much. And thank you for commenting, liking, sharing. Sharing is caring. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, be safe, and make sure you exercise your Second Amendment too. Deuces.